Every piece of art has flaws. Every movie has that one scene we don't quite understand. And every TV show has that one episode that you have mixed opinions. Whether we want to admit it or not, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is not perfect.
We all have our favorite seasons and our favorite episodes, but I remember there was one particular episode in Season 2 that really seemed to grind some ponies' gears. November 26, 2011, we were introduced to one of the more controversial episodes of G4. And boy, oh boy, did this cause a tidal wave of fanfics, artwork, and comics that left a really bad aftertaste.
He's Toon, and I am DRWolf, and today we take a look at the Mysterious Mare Do Well.
Seriously, that's the best name you could come up with, writers? What was Mystifying Mare Do ripoff already taken? Anywho, I just go by the name Toon these days. Toon Storm, Toon Critic, whatever works.
As the episode begins, we see the first ever fan club gathering in MLP, for Rainbow Dash of all ponies.
She has her own fan club? Funny, I don't see them starting up one for, the one who's helped save Equestria and bring everybody together twice. But then again, I guess I'm partial to Rainbow. It's that little connection. I'm totally not in the background with Rainbow hair supporting Best Pony.
We've had hints before that Scootaloo looks up to Rainbow, but now we get a very clear picture about how much Scootaloo idolizes Rainbow Dash. I have to wonder just how this fan club got started though. Wouldn't surprise me if Scootaloo had gathered all these ponies up herself just to put them in Rainbow's colors. Perhaps in the hopes that Rainbow would notice all these new fans and actually show Scootaloo some appreciation.
But, wouldn't you know it, Rainbow Dash is actually there listening to them and soaking up all the fans who worship her. At least the fan that worships her that gets all the others to worship as well. I mean, when you have the toolish duo of Snips and Snails in your party, your club doesn't really have that much credibility. Rainbow Dash chimes in with a new nickname and everybody loves it. Right from the start of this episode, there's no doubt Rainbow Dash is admiring the attention and praise.
When Rainbow is relaxing in some clouds, she hears a cry for help at the bottom of a well. She shows no hesitation in coming to the rescue, but oddly enough shouts that Rainbow Dash is here to rescue you while flying down the well. Does she really need to announce herself when making a rescue?
Come on, it's not like she's Spider Pony or anything, or Under Pony. I don't know, Hasbro doesn't give me a lot to work with. When Rainbow Dash saves the little filly, a crowd starts to gather, and Rainbow actually shows a very brief moment of humility when she says that it was no big deal. Okay, well that doesn't seem too bad.
In the next scene, we see a baby carriage rolling down a hill, and Rainbow once again arrives to save the day. I believe that this is actually the first moment in the series where we see the baby pony design. Rainbow is still enjoying all the attention, and is doubly more so when photographers arrive and start snapping pictures.
Twilight and the others arrive and witness Rainbow slurping down all the praise like a big double gulp. Twilight and Applejack are concerned that Rainbow's getting drunk on the attention, but Twilight tries to give the situation the benefit of the doubt, admitting that Rainbow is kind of awesome. Until the next time Rainbow Dash saves 4 elderly ponies from a falling balcony, and Twilight notices that Rainbow is getting more and more overconfident.
That's actually rather impressive that Rainbow can slow their descent without any trouble. Twilight is becoming legitimately concerned about Rainbow's behavior, while Rainbow's fan club is becoming all the more awe-inspired as she tells her heroic stories.
Albeit a little exaggerated. Now, I won't lie, Rainbow Dash is pretty awesome, but come on, there's a very thin line between being modest and arrogant. This actually goes back to the lesson in Ghostbusters, if I may quickly connect this. Twilight was nervous about competing against Trixie because she didn't want to be labeled a show-off and have others get a bad impression of her, which is totally okay. Here, though, with Rainbow, she had a chance to be modest, and I guess it's understandable why she let it get to her head, but sadly it only goes more downhill from here.
The rest of the main 6 are becoming annoyed with all the self-praising going on. Applejack in particular seems quite irritated, especially when Rainbow pulls her in to take some pictures. Now, one might think that Rainbow is going way over the top with all this pandering to her fans. Personally, I don't find it that hard to believe. Given what we've learned about Rainbow's character up to this point, I think she really would go this far in soaking up all the attention. Even when she is talking about her dreams during the best night ever, she specifically mentions that she'll perform for crowds of thousands, and they'll shower us with diamonds. So her actions here really are part of her dream for the future.
If I'm correct, this is the first time Rainbow Dash, minus hanging out with the Wonderbolts twice, that she's actually gotten the praise and attention she's desired. Yes, she's had all these dreams, but here's the chance she's always wanted. And it's only natural the first time you get something good, you want as much of it as you can. It was at this point in the episode I really connected with Rainbow. A lot of us can, because we want to see ourselves admired. Because it makes us happy. This is what I believe Rainbow Dash longs for.
It is perfectly understandable why Rainbow's friends would be concerned, and perhaps even irritated with Rainbow's behavior. Seeing Rainbow act this way is rather irritating for me too. Personally, I would want to find an opportunity to pull her aside and try to talk to her about it. Unfortunately for the rest of the main six, that doesn't seem to be the first thing that comes to mind.
In the next scene, we find Rainbow signing autographs when a pony in a ruptured balloon is falling to her death. Rainbow doesn't even seem fazed because her overconfidence has gotten to the point where she isn't even concerned about a pony that needs saving and is only thinking about looking good for her fans, something that seems a bit out of character for her.
That is until a costumed pony arrives and quickly saves the pony in the balloon, followed by Rainbow flying straight into the balloon and crashing along with it.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a plot device!
The gathering crowd is very impressed with this new savior. Even Mayor Mare declares that Ponyville has a new hero. That certainly didn't take long for everyone to start praising someone new. Then again, perhaps Mayor Mare already knew what was really going on here, and was intentionally trying to steer the crowd away from Rainbow Dash. Rainbow starts talking about how there is room for only one hero in Ponyville. Now, considering the fact that she had ended up crashing into the falling balloon, what if the pony that was in the basket had fallen to her death because of Rainbow's overconfidence? That seemed rather likely to happen here. Seems to me that the Mysterious Mare Do Well had just saved not only the pony in the basket but also Rainbow from becoming a fallen hero. Rainbow's arrogance really could have cost someone else's life, so it is very good that this new hero arrived when she did.
Next up, we seem to have a runaway carriage filled with tourists careening down a hillside road. Rainbow arrives in the scene, her new overconfidence being ignored by the ones who need saving. But when she attempts to stop the carriage, it appears to be too much for her, causing her to spin out. Thankfully, the Mysterious Mare Do Well is able to save the day again, showing that her strength is even greater than Rainbow Dash.
Once again, we see that if Rainbow had been the only one to show up here, that all these tourists would have fallen off the cliff. But of course, Rainbow still isn't thinking about the ponies being saved, but only about how she isn't the center of attention anymore.
That isn't what makes a hero, though. Look back to Sonic Rainboom. When Rarity was falling to her doom, Rainbow Dash sacrificed performing for everyone, and instead chose to save Rarity and the Wonderbolts. She wasn't thinking about being a show-off, she performed an unselfish act, and she was a hero in that instance. Now she's become an arrogant superhero-esque savior. Anyway, next we see a construction crew putting up a large building, even using a large crane to lift I-beams. The level of technology in Equestria can sometimes seem almost at par with our world, and it's pretty cool. The more we discover, the more Equestria seems to surprise us. When the crane starts malfunctioning, and causes the building to start coming down, Rainbow once again goes in to save the day.
At least now I get the sense that she is realizing more and more the limitations to her abilities, as Mare Do Well is able to save far more ponies than Rainbow did. And the face that Rainbow comes up with here is priceless.
And meme-worthy, apparently. In the next scene, we see a dam that looks like it's connected to an electrical plant?
I keep finding more and more about how technology in Equestria is far more advanced than what we normally see. Rainbow sees a tiny hole in the dam and believes that she is saving the town by plugging the hole with her hoof.
And somehow the fact that she is holding her hoof in the hole is causing the entire dam to break only in a matter of seconds? Really? How does that even work? But with Rainbow being dragged down by the massive amount of water, now she is the one calling for help. And Mare Do Well is there to save both Rainbow and use her magic to plug up the dam. Okay, hold the phone there for a second. So not only is she swift and incredibly strong, she has magic too. Okay, I've got an odd vibe about this character. And she can fly? Well, okay, congratulations. You have all the elements for a god-moding alicorn OC Gary Stew.
Afterwards at Sugar Cube Corner, we hear the rest of the main six praising all the heroic efforts of Mare Do Well. They are really trying to rub it in, as they can both see and hear just how much Rainbow is getting frustrated. Now the actions of the main six seem a little much to me.
I think we may have discovered one part of the problem.
Instead of trying to talk to Rainbow about her lack of humility, they are intentionally rubbing in the fact that she isn't the center of attention anymore. At first I was thinking that this seemed out of character for the main six, as they are usually much more sensitive and caring towards each other. But then I started thinking about Fall Weather Friends, another episode that shows just how much Rainbow's overconfidence and need to be the best can get in the way of her humility. In that episode, Applejack was at first trying to be a good sport when Rainbow started using her wings to get the upper hand. And even when she called Rainbow out on it, Rainbow still wasn't learning her lesson. Applejack had tried doing the right thing at first, and even tried to talk to Rainbow about it. But it wasn't until Rainbow came in last place at the race that she finally realized what she had been doing wrong. It took getting beaten by Twilight for Rainbow to understand the lesson about being more humble.
Humility is a very hard lesson to teach kids these days, and oftentimes you have to do it the hard way. In Rainbow Dash's case, she needed a wake-up call. She needed to realize that being a hero is not about the publicity, the attention, and the fans. You don't demand those. You earn them by being yourself. You earn them through your selfless deeds. And that goes hand in hand with something else Rainbow Dash could learn from all ponies Twilight: modesty. Those are crucial elements that can turn an overconfident spotlight hog into an unselfish and modest hero. It's a great lesson to teach kids, but I'll have more to say later on.
Now, I don't know if that really makes the actions of the main six here as being right. It still rubs me the wrong way whenever I watch this scene. I suppose I can understand why the main six believe that this is the way to teach Rainbow an important lesson, and in the end, the fact they were helping Rainbow to save ponies that would have otherwise fallen to their deaths really does make Mare Do Well seem like the right choice here. But I still feel conflicted about how they are rubbing in the actions of Mare Do Well.
Twilight is praising Mare Do Well for the spells she's used, when in reality Twilight was the one who cast them, and Rarity is praising Mare Do Well for the costume she wears, when in reality Rarity is the one who designed it. I understand what they're doing here, but it still feels wrong. The fact that they are praising themselves for each of their own actions as Mare Do Well is making the message rather muddled. To be honest, I think it would work better if they were instead, praising each other's actions. Like if Twilight was praising the look of the costume, and Rarity was praising Mare Do Well's skill with magic. At least then, I would feel better about the lesson they are trying to convey to Rainbow Dash.
Though personally I would have tried to talk to Rainbow first, the fact that Mare Do Well really is saving ponies that would have otherwise fallen to their deaths shows that the rest of the main six really did make the right choice here. Given Rainbow's frustration and the actions of the rest of the main six, it is perfectly understandable that she would seek to prove herself. But a disaster won't happen just because you want it to. Again, Rainbow is more interested in getting praise rather than being happy that others aren't in mortal peril. So even with the actions of the rest of the main six, the lesson hasn't quite sunk in just yet.
We get a few scenes of Rainbow trying to help with small things and expecting a crowd to cheer her for it. But when that doesn't work, Rainbow begins to sulk. She actually says, "How could every pony forget about me so easily?" This is actually a really good lesson for anyone to learn. People who get into the limelight so quickly may be surprised that they can lose their moment in the limelight just as quickly. And that's really what's happening here too. People change, and it's unfortunate. Popularity and fame isn't all it's cracked up to be sometimes.
When Scootaloo comes along and invites Rainbow to join her at the thank you parade for Mare Do Well, Rainbow doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Now, I'm sure that Scootaloo wasn't trying to rub anything in here, like what the rest of the main six have been doing. She really did seem like she wanted to spend time with Rainbow. But Rainbow is still sulking and refuses to take part. That is until she realizes that she could just unmask Mare Do Well right during the parade. Mayor Mare begins her speech about Mare Do Well, and again, I have to wonder if the mayor might have been in on this whole thing right from the beginning. I mean, with the main six trying to teach a lesson about how being a hero shouldn't be about wanting praise, why else would they want to take part in a thank you parade? But if the mayor was involved, maybe they thought that that would have been the moment that the lesson would finally sink in for Rainbow.
When Rainbow tries to unmask the hero, we get a bit of a chase scene around the buildings, but when Rainbow discovers that Mare Do Well was her friends all along, we finally get the moment where they are actually talking to Rainbow Dash about her overconfidence. And here we come to what I was talking about before. This entire scenario could have been avoided had they just pulled her aside and talked to her. There could have been a much easier solution, but for a show that preaches friendship is magic, basically, Twilight and her friends humiliated Rainbow Dash by creating a superhero to make her look completely self-centered and an annoyance to the entire town. Look, I get that it was a harsh reality check, but what really bothers me is all the freaking fanfics and comics that made Rainbow Dash depressed and emo following this. I'm sorry, but the impact it's left just leaves, like I said before, a bad aftertaste.
Now, I'm still not sure about what the right course of action here should have been. It still rubs me the wrong way that they didn't try to pull Rainbow aside and talk to her right from the beginning. But then again, we've seen other examples of that very thing not working for Rainbow, and it took her getting soundly beaten before she became humble enough to learn the lesson. And becoming Mare Do Well really did save the lives of more than a few other ponies around town. I still get the sense that they could have done several things so much better, but in the end, perhaps Mare Do Well was the correct answer.
A majority of my friends and people I talk to agree the Mysterious Mare Do Well, it's one of the worst Friendship is Magic episodes so far, and at the very least, one of their least favorites. I thought that overall it does have some acceptable elements. Mare Do Well is one of the few salvageable things in this superhero-themed episode. There's Never Fear, Your Friendly Neighborhood Rainbow Dash is here, which is a combo of Underdog and Spider-Man, and Mare Do Well's overall design, which is inspired by elements from Batman and Darkwing Duck. If anything, Mare Do Well is a nod to Batwoman, with multiple people, or in this case ponies, getting to play her. Once I get past the personal connection I have to this episode, it's alright. Visuals are decent, the story is acceptable on some levels, and it has a good moral that could have been better executed. So it gets an average C and a 7 out of 10 from me. What do you think, Dr. Wolf?
Overall, I can completely understand why this episode has gotten so many dislikes, or at the very least a meh response. I myself couldn't understand some of the writing choices here, but does that make it a bad episode overall? Honestly, I don't believe it does. It is far from being a great episode, and in my opinion certainly needs some tweaking, but there are still some good elements here. I like the design of Mare Do Well. I think there are a few good moments of comedy, and the message, in theory, is a very good message to learn. For children and for adults. Even though I think it could have been executed a little bit better, I'd still say this episode is worth watching.
With that being said, I am the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your viewing entertainment, and thank you very much, Dr. Wolf, for having me here. I had a lot of fun with this, and who knows, I'm always open for another crossover.
You are most welcome, sir. I enjoy doing collabs every once in a while as it adds some good variety to my work, and I think adding a different perspective allows me to see things that I hadn't thought of before. Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.